I love the phrase, I'm going to try something new right before we start recording. Without telling me what it is. That's always good.
It's better if I tell you on the recording.
Oh, welcome to Cyclops is Waiting for Me, an X-Men animated recap podcast with Wolverine and the X-Men, episode 11, Past Discretions. I'm JC, and Rod has me really nervous, and I'll let him talk about that during his intro. But just a quick reminder, last episode on the feed, if you somehow missed it, we interviewed Lenore Zann, who is the voice of Rogue in X-Men, the animated series, and X-Men 97 on our companion interview show, the Xavier Files. And from the day where this goes live, you have 3 days before she's doing an appearance at the Grove in Los Angeles on Thursday, the 29th. Yep, that's how calendars work. So I will definitely be there. Rod, if he survives that long with the way his life is going, who knows? But yeah, definitely check out that interview first and foremost.
I'm going to try because I love that Barnes & Noble. I just mentioned to JC before recording that this is AAPI month. And so this is when every corporation is like, hey, you're Asian. Please come to our event and take photos in front of our step and repeat. And so I'm trying to receive the attention while it's happening. It's just been a bit overwhelming. Anyway, and I'm Rod. The thing I was gonna, so I mentioned before we start recording that I was gonna try something new. So when we go through the breakdown, I have my iPad over here, and I'm gonna try something because I never remember stuff from the episodes. I'm gonna play the episode on silent as we're talking about it. And then, whenever we stop, I'll try to, remember to kind of, stop it around there. So I'm not wait, who were the 4 people in the corner? Or something, because I never remember this stuff. Because you always say, oh, did you see what happened in the cabin? I'm like, no, I didn't even know there was a cabin. He's like, that was the whole scene. I was like, oh, so I don't know. So I'm just going to try to have the visual here and see if that works. But nobody else will know. But if you...
But you'll know.
Let's see.
And I'll definitely know.
And we'll see if it actually helps, my memory, because it's not even going to be memory. It'll just be, right here. But anyway, so Cyclops is Waiting for Me is our bi-weekly podcast series where we're going back and watching every single X-Men animated episode we can find. The podcast started with the original 1992 X-Men the animated series, building up to the release of X-Men 97. And along the way, we've completed X-Men Evolution and launched our companion interview show, the Xavier Files. As JC mentioned last week, we had Rogue, Lenore Zann, the original Rogue. And now that we have it confirmed that season 2 of X-Men 97 will be dropping in 2026, we're dedicating this year to all of Wolverine and the X-Men.
Some quick reminders. We are a recap show about a series that started over 15 years ago. There are going to be spoilers, and if you don't want it spoiled for you, pause the podcast, watch the episode, and come back. We are not currently sponsored or affiliated with Marvel Animation, Disney, or Disney Plus in any way.
And don't forget to follow us on social media at Cyclops IWFM Pod on Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, and Facebook. And at the time of this recording, TikTok's still here. We were just discussing what those dates may be. And JC is still doing the trading card unboxings.
Yeah, I need to catch up on those. I kind of fell off getting those up daily. I still have 3.5 boxes worth of those to post.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. and that reminds me, I got to talk to you about what we do with those for a YouTube idea after the fact. So, yeah.
And for once, I don't think I'm that far behind. Actually, by the time this goes up, I'll probably actually be caught up on reposting stuff on the TikTok. And kind of similar, I've been meaning to do this for a while, and I don't know when this is going to happen. Maybe the holidays. I don't know, whenever I have a day free. Actually, I was cleaning out one of my storage things the other day, and I found all my trading cards, binder thing. And I transferred them all to my Trapper Keeper. And so, I feel like that's probably worth, splitting up into, some shorts or something to go through the different cards. Because these are the actual ones I had as a kid that were various series.
I'm literally going to buy you the right kind of binder because just the regular circle ring binders, if you close them the wrong way, they will bend the cards at the bottom. You need the one that's basically a vertical spot on one side of it to prevent bending.
Oh, so what's even better about this one is the reason I transferred the Trapper Keeper is I had a Trapper Keeper I got for something else.
Of course you did.
It's been something. It was for a video thing I was doing, and then but it has that binder clip on the top. So it also had 5-star folders in it. So I put the folders on the bottom so the card specifically wouldn't get bent.
Okay.
But there's some gems in there. There's a Mortal Kombat trading cards, and there's like a Korean Street Fighter 2 card I got when I was a kid. Like it's all over the place. And I've for some reason I have multiple versions of like the Spider-Man cards that made posters, but specifically the Venom series.
Okay.
Stuff. So there's all kinds of stuff in there, like the characters I forgot about. Like I have a like surprising amount of Polaris cards. It's kind of interesting.
Now on to the show. Today we're going to be talking about season 1, episode 11, titled Past Discretions. It aired on June 5th of 2009. Sits at a 7.4 star rating on IMDb. So I just need to call this out right at the beginning. Totally threw out whatever continuity still existed from the Hulk versus episode with everything aside from the design of Dr. Cornelius. Everything else from that continuity is completely fucked.
I was going to say, because I think you mentioned before, either another episode or between recordings, like, oh, hey, Sabretooth didn't die in the movie.
Yeah. I think I said that at the end of a recording at some point, yeah.
And so I was kind of prepared for that. But even then, I thought maybe it was just going to be one of those, like, not retcons, but you know when they, like, retcon by omission? You know,
yeah, like, oh, he actually woke up after Wolverine left or something like that?
Yeah, you can just, like, assume that or something. But yeah, like you said, like, there's, like, the cabin and everything. Like, just it's the same setting, but it's a different scenario.
And it's also, like, it's a totally different design for him and shit. And it's like, I don't know.
It was a wizard.
It was a wizard.
Or multiverse.
Yeah, that's what brought him back from the dead. Yep. So, because it starts with a flashback, there is no previously on, and you see this like punch-in camera style zooming into the mountains. A guy gets off a helicopter, and then he's like by a waterfall, and you see like a bunch of like rapid fire flashbacks, and then a dead guy, and then a little girl sees a burning barn. You get the Wolverine face reveal, and then you pull out, and it's Xavier, who has his only appearance in this episode, which is doing like probably something he should have done with Logan back before he went into a 20-year coma.
Yeah. Also,
like,
just
the 20-year separated therapy situation is so weird to me.
Your commentary is spot on, because as you were saying that, everything was happening on my little side view here in real time. It was like you were a sportscast announcer, but for like X-Men.
So the only Easter egg that any of all the resources that we go to reference this between the wikis, IMDb, and stuff like that is if you watch the opening intro, the little girl who like is running with her little brother is the same character design as this little girl from the episode. Oh. I don't think they're supposed to be the same person because obviously like time jumps and shit like that. But I went through and I double checked and it does look like the same character design. So
we're going to touch on character design in the next episode. You probably know why, because I was hella confused because there was supposed to be, but yeah, character designs like that you take with a grain of salt here, right?
Yeah, I think it also might just been like, oh, this is a good design. This makes sense. Nobody actually gives a shit about continuity for an intro. So
yeah, especially with this episode, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, seriously. So we get through the animated intro. Wolverine and Xavier are having their little back and forth. And it just, like I said, it feels weird that they're having like a therapy session with Xavier from the future.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that should not be a priority for Xavier. Right. Like, it's weird to me that in this whole thing of him needing Logan to, like, fix the future, he's worried about doing a therapy session with him. Like, that's... I don't get that from a narrative concession.
Yeah, because I think this is, if it's not the only time, it's one of the few times that we don't see where Xavier goes after the time connection thing. So we don't know what is he just bored? Is that why he's doing it? Like,
yeah, there's really no indication to it. Like the last we saw him in the series was after he escaped the Nimrod location, basically.
Yeah, and I guess
or Master Mold location, not Nimrod. Yeah.
I guess technically now he has like the portable Cerebro, so maybe that's a part of the explanation. Is he more mobile with it? I don't know. I guess we'll find out.
It's weird. It's definitely weird. So, but Wolverine wants to know more. Xavier can't show him anymore. He's basically like, yeah, it's like your own mental blocks are in the way. And then Xavier just straight up is like, no, you shouldn't do this.
Yeah.
I really don't like this version of Xavier, dude. Like, I kind of like, I thought the shades of gray were shady in Evolution. I just straight up don't think I like this Xavier.
Yeah, I guess because we just don't know what he's up to, right? Mm-hmm. Like, he's literally in a different time, maybe timeline. We don't quite know how that works.
He can't be in a different timeline. He's still the future of this Logan.
Well, I guess the thing is, this is where time travel gets messy in many ways in shows. Like,
which, by the way, quick insert, I literally texted Rod and said, this episode has flashbacks, so I'm just going to definitely be the host for it. So
that's good considering how it was the first 2 episodes that we recorded this. I didn't know that the flashbacks were happening. I thought they were like premonitions or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like I get where the time travel gets messy in this one specifically is because Xavier is communicating with Logan. If something changes in this show's present, does the communication happen? I get right?
Oh, it's basically like, what is it, the grandfather paradox?
Kind of, yeah. So it's like if the butterfly effect happens, does like the events still take place in which Xavier's having this current conversation?
Right.
And then like what happens with all that?
Nope. So it's not even worth trying to figure out.
Yeah.
You see sad Cyclops is sitting out by the cliff over the water, and Emma is creepily watching from her window on it.
Mine said, I love this. Like, Cyclops is on the cliff in New York, by the way.
Yep. Everybody's favorite cliffside.
Right. Cyclops is watching the ocean. Emma is horny and watching Cyclops. And Logan is watching Emma being horny to Cyclops watching the ocean.
And Logan is surprised that he was actually able to sneak up on it because he's like, oh, I didn't know you could sneak up on a mind reader. And it's like, well, she has to actually be like paying attention.
But also, did you get the impression that she was just like a little flustered? Because when I said horny, I was kind of like, that was the reason. Because she was like, oh, because, like she was like a little distracted.
Oh, yeah, she was definitely distracted. Yeah, I don't know if she was necessarily picturing Scott naked, but she was definitely like thinking about Scott. Yeah, totally.
Or even like when I say horny, but like I mean even just like falling for someone, right? Like even if it's not necessarily all physical or something. Like she's just like, and I'm more aware of it now because of what you and other guests have told me about like the history of Cyclops and these other like telepaths.
Really horny for all telepaths.
Yeah.
Yes.
And now they're like living in a house together, and she's just watching him watch the ocean. I don't know. So it's funny.
Yep. Scott moves on really easily to other telepaths when Jean isn't around. So
while looking for Jean.
Yeah. Or mourning Jean.
Right. Hey, everybody mourns their own way, right?
Yep.
Or grieves.
So Logan wants help, and right off the bat, Emma knows, oh, you've already tried this. Charles couldn't, and then Logan's like, no, he wouldn't.
I like that writing.
Mm-hmm. So you get a jump over to that top of a skyscraper that the Brotherhood is using as their base, which I guess is essentially no different than that apartment building in downtown LA that has become the giant graffiti place.
The graffiti towers.
The graffiti towers, yeah.
I was wondering because it kind of looked like the Empire State Building, right? Or was it just supposed to be generic New York skyscraper?
It's generic.
Okay.
It's not New York. It's New York City. It's just like whatever this Westchester area is
with the beach cliff and everything.
Yeah, yeah, because they're still close enough to the X-Men. Because otherwise the X-Men would have to like get onto the train to get into New York City for all their Brotherhood shit.
I've let go of all geography in most of these shows, but especially this one, because we see like, Wolverine goes to Canada and we don't know what side, but he gets back and forth in a day.
So with this one, I'm just assuming it's Westchester because at least in Evolution, they called it Bayville. So you knew it was like a specific area. I think this is just everybody knows it's in Westchester, New York. That's just,
Gotcha.
what it is. So, and you have like a little bit of a back and forth between Rogue and Domino. I don't get Rogue's motivation for being on this team. other than a little bit of what we get from her interaction with Beast later. But it doesn't seem like she wants to be there other than because she doesn't feel at home with the X-Men. It's like it feels insincere that she's at this location, you know?
Yeah, it's a little bit of spite for Wolverine, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah. And then you get a quick little back and forth between Quicksilver and Blob, and it's essentially one throws out that he doesn't trust Rogue, so now I don't understand why he wants her there, and then is like, I need you to watch the door, and Blob is on guard duty because Quicksilver apparently can't just shut a door and have a soundproof room.
Yeah, a room that we find out has just like a hole in the wall?
A massive hole, like from an air duct or air vent that they just left there.
I guess, but it doesn't even look like an air vent, right? Because it's just
it's literally like a rectangle cut out.
It's like a cartoon, like from like a Tom and Jerry cartoon, right? Like where Jerry would like run through between rooms and stuff.
But I feel like those were at least like, that's a mouse hole, or that's like
a circle.
a knot poked out of like a piece of wood. This is just a perfect rectangle cut out, and like literally it looked like it was like even plastered and painted on the inside. I really don't understand what that was. But Quicksilver and Magneto are having a little bit of a back and forth, being like, you're telling me I got to do the impossible. Magneto gives the whole like, I'm a crappy father moment of like, well, are you saying you can't do it? He's like, no, of course I'm going to do it, but like, you need to let me into Genosha. And this version of Magneto, like, just is like, we'll see. He won't give him a definitive answer, as Rogue is listening through the hole in the wall, obviously.
Yeah, I still can't get over the hole. Like, I'm watching it now, and I'm just like, yeah, that was just as blatant as like we remember it.
Mm-hmm. Especially now knowing that it's Liam O'Brien from Critical Role as the voice of Magneto, it just really makes me laugh, because it's like he's doing such an Ian McKellen impersonation here, and it's perfect. But it's just like, God, you're such a bastard. So, back at the mansion, you have Logan and Emma, who are doing their little bit of like psychic back and forth. And you see more of the interaction with Logan and the guy who was knocked out cold and presumed dead. And at first, because I've been rewatching these twice before I do it, I do one with notes and then one with no notes. And at first I thought that the guy like phased through him like a ghost.
Same, yeah.
As opposed to being charged up and missing him. There was something with that first animation that I legit thought it was like a ghost scenario.
Yeah, I had to hear like the guy that he killed, or quote unquote killed, like has phasing powers.
We come back and Emma is like, yeah, there's just the connections between your memories are missing. And you got to go back to the cabin to figure it out, and Logan doesn't know where it is. But the piece of it that I kind of dig with, like, they talk about like his brainwashing and stuff like that, is they mention the connections are severed. Because the way memory works is, according to what I've read, is you're not necessarily remembering the original time. You're remembering the last time you remembered it.
Yeah.
So that's why you become an unreliable narrator about stuff over time. You know,
that's where we get
just
like
that
Mandela effect and stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, I thought it's just interesting, because it's like, well, the connections aren't there. And it's like, well, yeah, if your memory got wiped, you wouldn't remember what any of those connections are. So, Yep. But she does distinctly remember it is at the base of two mountains. There is no fucking way there is only one location in Canada where it's two mountains. And somebody, please feel free to comment that we're wrong and show like a link in Google or something like that, because I'm not going to search for it. But just that whole loose, it's the base of two mountains thing, I'm like, there's no fucking way.
And she didn't even say, because later was a Beast like clarifies twin mountains or something. I don't think she said twin. She just said at the base of two mountains. I'm like,
two.
So surely there, if not, I would just assume most mountains come in more than just one, right? Especially in Canada. Like
that, I don't know, but I guarantee it's not a small
single
number. Yeah. I mean, shit, she didn't even know it was Canada.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Then we hop over and we have a very dated conversation where Kitty is reading Little Women as she's organizing the library. And they're putting every book apparently in alphabetical order, which is just a really like weird thing to organize everything purely by alphabetical order.
It must have been one of those like Beast, like Mr. Miyagi kind of exercises, right? It's like for your posterity or something.
Yeah. And then Bobby says the phrase that would not resonate today, calling everything so dial up.
Yeah. So I'm trying to think. This is in the early 2000s. I guess there was
2009. Broadband? We still would all have context of dial up if we were old enough to watch the X-Men.
2009.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm still thinking of Evolution. Okay, so that makes sense. Okay, so there is like so Wi-Fi and broadband was like pretty. Okay, yeah. Okay.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But Beast comes in and just like gushes over books and stuff like that. But he's like, yeah, only a small amount of books are actually digitized. And it's like, well, that's no longer the fucking case, Beast.
Yeah, that conversation is so interesting because right around that time, I think it was 2009. I was working at Barnes and Noble part time, and we were talking about the reason Borders went out and Barnes and Noble stayed around was because Borders completely rejected the e-reader thing very early on. Well, they eventually caught on to it, but very late. But Barnes and Noble, they might even still have it, but they had the Nook. They kind of like embraced it. Like they were like, here's our version of the e-reader. And at the time it was the same conversation. You're like, there's only like 20 books for this thing. Yeah.
But Beast starts climbing one of the things. He's like pulling all these books. And then you get the impression that they tried looking through books because there are a few open ones on the floor. And Bobby's on a laptop that the back of it is supposed to be an X-Men logo, but it literally looks like an Xbox logo that's on the back. And then, of course, he's using X Search as his search engine, which has to be wildly inefficient and expensive to run that.
But also, like, especially given the time period, doesn't sound like you would. It sounds like it'd be an adult search service, right?
I mean, even today.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say, like, I kind of want to search it with Safe Search on right now, but I also don't want to search it with Safe Search on.
You don't want to be on that watch list.
No, dude, it's because there are like the reputable sites that everybody's like, all right, that one doesn't do the illegal shit. That's okay, but like, I don't want to get flagged for something.
Yeah,
so, just to prove it on a show, that seems like an awful idea. But quickly goes to X search image results and Wolverine recognizes it, and then Beast is like, I have the book that it's in, like as if that's some like consolation that he was right, you know?
Yeah, it's like also we could just continue to look at this like article and image that we've already found. It's probably like very linked. The
one that'll literally give you like longitude and latitude and GPS coordinates and stuff like that. Yeah. Jump over and Wolverine is on his bike. And then very quickly, security cameras are popping up out of the snow as he's up there in Canada. And you see a bunch of scientists looking at facial recognition scans. And you see very specifically, he is called Weapon X here. Outside of the Hulk versus stuff, we've not heard him called Weapon X yet in this, I don't believe.
Okay, yeah. It's hard for me to remember just because it's so normal for him.
Well, the reason I say that is because later in the episode, when he gets called Weapon X, it actually triggers something with him, which, so I guess, so that took 11 episodes before Wolverine got called Weapon X, because now I'm just assuming that the continuity of Hulk versus Wolverine means nothing.
It was all a dream.
It was a wizard.
Yeah, it was a wizard. I didn't know the character we're about to meet. I didn't know his real name, so like the only thing I wrote this down in case it was mattered. It said, Cornelius said that Logan's in Zone 53 in the Nord property. Right. And I was like, that seems very specific.
So, well, now I have to look up 53 to see if there's any significance for that one. But I did recognize Nord as a very obvious last name. Kind of like when, like, Vanisher stuck out to me in a previous episode. So, X-Men 53. Let's see. No, they are fighting a... Is that a Badoon, which is an alien race? X-Men, the volume, the Jim Lee volume, that was an Onslaught episode. So it does not look like there is any specific connection to an X-Men 53 to Maverick. Yeah, we do get Dr. Cornelius, which that's the one who was the same character design as he appeared in Hulk Versus. Because remember how I was like, did they call him Dr. Cornelius at all in there? And you and Pablo were like, we think we just called him the Professor.
Yeah.
Yep.
And there's the other scientist that reports to Cornelius.
Yes.
He looked very specific, and they never named him, so I'm just going to guess it was like based off of one of the animator's friends or something, something.
He actually looks a lot like the scientist that befriends Peter Parker in the like mid 2010s, where they create this it's like Parker Industries, and I want to say it's called Horizon Labs, but I could be wrong about the name of the company. It's been a decade since I read that story, but very much that same visible style. I don't think the two have anything to do with each other, but very reminiscent of each other.
Gotcha.
So, yep. God damn it. Now I have to look up the name.
I think it was interesting here, too, that Cornelius was like somewhere else. They had to like kind of hollow talk, chat or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I guess he's going to be coming back because he survives this and stuff. Like,
okay. I was right. It is Horizon Labs. Mm-hmm. The character's name is Max Modell, who is the name of that scientist who's like the founder, who like kind of takes Peter under his wing, and
gotcha.
Peter fucks up because it's Peter. But that's a Spider-Man podcast. We are an X-Men podcast. But yeah, and then it's like they have an interesting conversation where it's like, well, we should have eliminated him. Is like, well, he's too hard to contain, and he's like, what was it, too expensive to eliminate?
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense.
They don't want to cut any loss. Yeah, they don't want to cut their losses.
Like, are they just worried that he's going to murder like $10 billion worth of other soldiers, and that's the value for it? Like, I get the sunk cost fallacy on it, but at the same time, it's like, if you can't contain him and you can't use him, like, he's kind of worthless to you.
The only thing, and this might be like giving a lot of credit to what is probably not very important. The only thing I can think of is like maybe Cornelius like reports to some Canadian government thing, and like he has to report the losses or whatever, So like if he eliminates him, then that is like whatever billions of dollars a loss that is just gonna like ruin his part in his operation or something. But I don't know.
And then we get the reveal of a much better design for Sabretooth.
He's
and
alive.
Don't get me wrong, he's not my favorite design of Sabretooth. I mean, 92 is iconic, obviously, and I like jacked version of Sabretooth from Evolution. But God, it's so much better than the Hulk versus version that... Let's just pretend it's a different character who did actually die, maybe.
I guess it technically, like, this is one of those things where we give too much credit to like off-screen stuff, but like, yeah, maybe there is multiple Sabretooths because this was like a, X-23 and Wolverine, and we don't know how that stuff works. I think it was kind of new for me for Sabretooth to have been Logan's superior.
That has happened in some of the it's not Task Force X because that's Suicide Squad, but their whole like Department H crew. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yep. Jumping back to the mansion, and that's my one jumping back for the episode. Rogue's there. Bobby answers the door. Beast is like, "You're stupid. Go back to the library to help Kitty."
It's like, why did Bobby answer the door?
Yeah.
He had no purpose there.
He literally wandered off. Like he's just such a himbo in this that he wandered off. And Rogue is instantly pissy that Logan isn't there the exact time that she chose to visit, which is why I just like, I don't dig this version of Rogue right now. Like, there better be like a great reveal in like episode 15 because I have no empathy for this character right now.
I gotcha. I kind of, not that I have empathy for her, but I kind of understood that like her going there proved her point to herself. I guess the Beast, he's like, let me guess. He took off, didn't tell you when, didn't tell you where, didn't tell you how long and stuff. Although Beast had a good comeback. He was like, this time.
I was just going to say, I loved his response on it.
Yeah, he's like, you lost your privilege to know that. So he's like, oh, actually, this time we do know. Maybe not as long, but like they know where he went. So
he has a rough idea. I mean, they found it on Logan had a legit reason of not being able to say why, because he didn't remember why.
Yeah. But I guess, I mean, he didn't know how long he was going to be gone.
Yeah,
but he knows where. Yeah.
I mean, like you talked about, he's probably only gone for like 48 hours at most at this point. So
yeah, it looked like it was a day, but they don't say definitively.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then it's like a whole like, oh, don't trust him scenario. Logan is in the snow and he starts having these flashbacks. And the first one, I didn't pick up on it at first until we got a little bit later into the episode with the way that the character design was shown. But it was Sabretooth actually giving Logan the, the rundown of what his target is. And, it was like, yeah, he's like a real maverick. And I was like, okay, well, if that didn't hit you over the fucking head enough, like, yeah, because Chris Nord, the average person would not know who the fuck that character is. You barely know who Maverick is, and we've been doing an X-Men podcast for 3 years.
Oh, that's right, Maverick, he was the running gag, right, in the original series?
Yes, Rob.
Okay, yeah, okay. Man, to my credit, that original series was a couple of years ago.
Like I said, we've been doing this for over 3 years, and you still barely remember Maverick exists.
I didn't know that was his power set. Either that, or just like it was represented.
It was the best explanation of his power set that we've gotten ever.
Okay, because I never really kind of grasped. He's just like one of these like superhuman people. But yeah, like I'm watching the scene now where the first time it's Sabretooth giving the orders. Like it's definitely meant to be like kind of like hiding that a Sabretooth.
Right, because it's a big burly person, but it's over the shoulder and you don't see like a claw or the hair or the jawline or any of that stuff. So
but he has a printed picture of Maverick. That's why it's great. It's like, we're not going to show you this until you're ready to drop off the helicopter.
Then one quick comment with like the kinetic redistribution being the phrasing for it. It reminds me of the Sebastian Shaw power set.
Oh, okay.
Like the way of describing it,
Yeah.
Yep. Then he's at the edge of the waterfall. He sees the house is totally destroyed and the barn has been burned down. And then there's this random rappel line that has apparently been there for 20 years.
Yeah, right. We don't know how long. I guess, well, maybe not 20, because I guess, how old is that girl supposed to be? Because she was... What, 5?
She was like, she was 6. Very specifically, they kept pointing out that she was 6.
And then,
did she say how long it was, or did she just keep saying you took my dad away when I was 6?
Yeah, and she said she's been waiting for a while. But I mean, the way they represented her and made her seem like she was about the same age as like maybe Rogue or something. So maybe
I was gonna say
a decade.
Like, I was gonna say somewhere in the range of like a 16 to 24, depending on your art style. You know,
maybe 10 to 15 years.
Yeah,
later.
something like that. Yeah.
Still a long time for a rappel line to still be there.
Yeah, it was just kind of like there, and it was also cut, and then he just pulls it out and drops it off the edge for no reason whatsoever.
So he can claw his way down. Show off.
Yeah. But he didn't even need to do the rappel cut because who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
He just littered.
Psychological. He doesn't want that to still be there.
Finds some claw marks of his on like a broken beam. And then, you have the flashback again where he sees the inside of the house and sees the little girl. And there's just like this awful interaction between him where it's like, well, I wouldn't have done this if I knew the person was a father. And I'm like, you were just going to go kill a stranger and you were totally okay with that. What does the kid make a difference on it?
Probably just that the kid was there, right? Because that's kind of like one of those assassin tropes, right? Like they don't want to kill the world leader in front of their child or something.
I mean, usually it's just like no kids or no women and kids, but like I've never heard the like I won't make somebody I won't make somebody an orphan. Like that kind of feels that felt to me like they were trying to make Logan a better person even when he was going through his brainwashing shit, as opposed to like being a killer. Like that felt forced to me a little bit.
That was interesting with this episode. Yeah, they were trying to put like solidify that he was inherently a good person. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if I'm familiar with that either, because like you said, like with like Weapon X, I'm just used to seeing him like feral, right?
Well, not even necessarily feral, but like he was on missions and offing people.
Mm-hmm.
Like it wasn't full like Bucky brainwash, but it was also like he was still doing it.
Yeah. So like that person like is not gonna have the level of morals to be worried about making someone an orphan.
Exactly. That's the part that doesn't, like, if he's legit brainwashed, like, you know, Bucky Winter Soldier brainwashed, sure, but like being okay with going and killing a guy, but then being worried about them having a kid doesn't feel sincere to me.
Yeah.
Like, it's more of a like, oh, well, I'll kill them where their kid can't find them or something. Like, I'll make them disappear rather than I'm going to stab them in front of the kid. You know, like there is a difference to that.
And I like how they pointed out, like, yeah, her name is Christy, and I was like, first of all, Chris and Christy, it's funny. And then they were like, she likes horses, maybe specifically.
Yes.
But the next question, is Christy a character in like Marvel canon?
No, they are not.
Okay.
I did do a double check. This Christy was created specifically for Wolverine and the X-Men, as far as I could find.
So that Chekhov's horse girl mention pays off very quickly.
Very, very quickly. But it was also hyper obvious at that point that it was Sabretooth on the comms because he specifically called him Runt, which is part of that common back and forth between Logan and Sabretooth. He always calls him Runt because he's always bigger than him.
I didn't catch that. Okay, yeah.
Yep. And then Christy arrives and has amazing telekinetic powers on a horse.
Yeah.
No. Holds a rock against him and then engulfs him in like stone.
So that's why I was asking if she was a specific character, because that seems like a very specific power. Because that's
it's like earth shaping. Yeah.
Or
it's like a rock slides power in the comics.
I forget. You never watched Airbender, right?
You're gonna say he's an earthbender, basically.
It felt like an earthbender kind of thing. I know enough about it to understand what it is, only because people have explained that a water bender can do that with blood, and I think that's hilarious. Yeah, that was wild. But this was like even like an elevated earthbender thing, because the earthbender was like you could take like rocks out of the ground and stuff. This was like Magneto level liquefy metal.
Yeah, shaping it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It had what is it? I want to say the spell is just called Move Earth. But, like, that's a thing in Dungeons & Dragons, like, especially where I am listening, mentioned Critical Role earlier, like, we're at the point where Keyleth is just constantly shaping Earth everywhere in their plans. He, like, reawakens inside the house, and she keeps, like, almost suffocating him with the rock, too.
Yeah, I was still also wondering, like, what the extent of that rock formation was, you know? Like, is it actively crushing him? Or is she just like you said, suffocating, like just kind of? I
think it's just the suffocation in and out. I didn't get the crushing vibe because he didn't seem like he was in pain. It was mostly less like, shit, I'm stuck and I can't do anything. Yeah. And then she's getting mad because she's like, why'd you take my dad away from me? And he's like, I don't know.
He's like, I'm trying to remember myself.
Mm-hmm.
And then the comedic timing of this tranquilizer dart,
which is the hardest tranquilizer dart I have ever seen shot.
It breaks through a window.
It breaks through a window and it knocks her off her feet. It's not like the normal tranq dart is you get like zapped in the neck and then you fall over. It literally sent her flying. That went through part of her like she should not be alive.
Broke her neck or something.
Yeah.
I guess
like if you get hit that way by a sharp thing, like I don't know how bodies work, but that doesn't seem right to me.
Yeah, I guess like before it hit her, the explanation was it's Sabretooth, right? So super strength. But yeah, like you're right.
It was shot out of a gun.
Oh, was it? Okay. I don't know.
Yeah, you should have tranq dart out of a gun. Come on.
I just because I'm watching the footage here, I didn't. He's not care. I guess it's implied that he has a gun, but they don't show him walking in with one. So I was like the only explanation.
So you think he threw it like a fucking dart at a dartboard,
or did like the like
the blow dart?
Because that would be funnier.
It would be funnier. I don't picture Sabretooth having a blow dart, honestly. And the only reason I say that, because we're also in the cartoon world where Sabretooth has had sticks of dynamite in Alaska. But I think it's because this version of Sabretooth also has a really big electrocution gun.
Okay, yeah.
So I just assume it's like literally he just hits a different button and it's like the gun from The Fifth Element with like 40 different features.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. Once it hits her though with that much force, that's one of those like if like The Boys has ruined my view of superhero stories because like, oh yeah, then like, her head would just have like her body would have
there would be a
head.
giant hole, like she'd have a dual tracheotomy right now. Yeah. And that's where we get the reveal that Sabretooth has entered. Come back from commercial. I want to say that was a commercial break there, but Logan gets thrown so hard that on contact with the ground, it shatters the whole thing. They don't worry about people being hurt in this show. They really don't.
It's like a Daredevil Born Again physics, right? Like, if anybody's watched that, whenever there's a fight scene, you're like, ooh, that guy died because his neck snapped. Nope, the next one he has a black eye. That's about it. But, you know, my note here was Sabretooth punches Logan into the rest of the flashback. That's how hard he hit him.
Well, this is where he refers to him as Weapon X, because Logan is asking, like, how long if, like, you know, they had an association to each other, and he calls him Weapon X, and that's where he gets punched into the past. Yes. And you get a little bit more of the back and forth of what happened, where Maverick overhears what is going to happen, and he decides to charge up by just hitting the mallet on the anvil, and then he launches the anvil through the wall at Logan. You get that scene that I thought was the ghost, but it wasn't a ghost. And I love how it's just like, you know, it's not what you think. Like, dude, you literally just said into a comm that you were going to, like, kill him. It's exactly what he thinks it is.
Well, two things is, this kind of shows that Logan is like a terrible spy. He's like talking out loud.
He's so loud.
And,
loud.
And not watching his back, you know, and stuff.
At all.
And second thing is like, I don't even know if this was on purpose, but they did like father, like daughter. Like they both attack Logan the same way by like throwing a large thing at him to like pin him against the wall.
Yeah.
But that was a really badass scene where he kind of did like a combination like Iron Man Thor thing.
I can see that.
We hit the thing, but like, yeah, that was probably the best. I don't think I've ever understood Maverick's power until that moment.
Then he throws Logan through the barn, which the second that happens, even if we didn't know the barn had burned down from what was shown earlier, you knew getting thrown into the barn, he was going to knock a lamp over. Like,
yeah,
of all the fight scene tropes, that has to be like a top 10, right? Like that always happens in a barn because hay is flammable.
Yeah, and the only thing it was missing was like a horse kicking over the lamp, right?
That's the only thing that was missing. Her horse that she rides off on, you know, something like that. Fight continues, goes back into the flashback, and Maverick is basically being like, "Stay the fuck away from my family," and Logan's like, "Okay." And then Maverick stops, so that means Maverick is a shitty spy too, because he believes that.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't believe the motivation of these two characters, that somebody who is like willing to kill somebody was all of a sudden going to stop because they had a kid. And then the other guy who's like, you're literally invading his home. No, you have that mallet that's going through somebody's skull.
Yeah.
But it gives him enough pause that Sabretooth uses the Fifth Element gun and shoots him from behind and electrocutes him. In the modern day, they keep fighting. It mirrors the fight that happens in the past. And Logan is eventually able to knock out Sabretooth, runs back into the barn to try to save Maverick from the fire. And that's when the kid wanders out, sees, we get the full reveal from everything that happened in the beginning. And then the part that we didn't see up until now is as the barn starts to collapse, Logan jumps on top of the girl and saves her and can't find Maverick when everything is settled. It just kind of like leaves a little girl to freeze to death in the snow.
Yeah, we never kind of figure out how Christy like
survives.
Because you assume like he takes her somewhere, but she would clearly probably remember that, right? So that's the reason she thinks that he killed her dad. Yeah, because she was just left in the snow.
I guess maybe it's the scenario where it was like he knocked on a neighbor's door and ran away or something with her.
But like 20 acres away or something? Like they were out in the middle.
Yeah, because there's nothing nearby.
He had to rappel down to get there.
Yep. in the modern day, Sabretooth is basically calling out to Logan that he betrayed him, refers to them being partners before, and Wolverine can't remember who they work for, and that's kind of like the big like piece of it that you think it throws him off his game. Sabretooth is able to electrocute him, and then that's where a rock comes in and whacks Sabretooth like into the tree, and then she murders Sabretooth, or at least attempts to murder Sabretooth.
Yeah, cause I guess because she doesn't say it, but like the impression is that she overheard enough to understand what happened.
Yeah. She came out of her drug-induced state.
Reattached her
enough. Head. Yeah. Here's enough that she believes that this guy that she thought killed her dad 10, 15 years ago didn't actually do it now because of the other random monster stranger who shot her in the neck. And then they have like the awkward smiles with each other.
Oh yeah, it's because you have to try to animate like this kind of like knowing look to each other.
Yeah, the recognition. Mm-hmm. Yep. Wolverine makes his way back to the Institute, has like a little like thanks moment with Emma. Beast mentions Rogue, and then they have a little bit of an awkward interaction because he's like, yeah, I don't trust her, and Beast is like, yeah, funny, she said that about you. And it's like, why are you believing the girl who literally abandoned the team right now?
So
there's something about this episode that like parts of it just are driving me crazy, and I don't know why.
The only explanation I could have for that interaction is that they're trying to see that something else more went down with Rogue and Wolverine than just abandonment.
Right.
And and maybe it's because as we're recording this, we're second to last episode of Last of Us just aired, and if anybody's been watching Last of Us at all, like even without knowing current things, is like there's this like dynamic between Joel and Ellie about trust and stuff, and so maybe this when my head was there, I was like, did something like that happen with Logan and Rogue? Like,
it has to have. If it doesn't have a strong enough payoff.
Yeah, because it's like, why? So I kind of got why she didn't trust him. Now, but
I'm the Beast part I was confused about.
It's like, why wouldn't Logan trust Rogue? I mean, besides her like running off, but like, yeah, like what?
Yeah.
And then I don't know if this is just because of what we know about Emma outside of the show or this particular actor's performance. I don't know if you kind of got like Emma's helping everyone to try to like get quiet control over all the team members. Because she kind of gives us the way she says, you're welcome or whatever. It kind of like it seems like it's a little bit more self-serving than she's just generally trying to be a good person.
Yeah, I mean, I think that may play a part of it. It's hard not to have that bias when it comes to Emma because from a character perspective, she had to do bad things to get out of a bad scenario. And we don't know that much about this one. You get the impression that she had to deal with some not great stuff, which is why her institute closed down and stuff like that. So this is one of those times where I'm like, damn, I really wish that this had gotten a second season because I don't think there's a shot that we're going to get all this stuff resolved as we're past the 1/3 mark right now of all the episodes. I think
after the next episode, it's a halfway mark, right?
I mean, it's 25 episodes. Yeah, I mean, look at all we have to do, Rod, is look at where it falls on the calendar for a posting,
middle of June.
Yep. And then the episode wraps up with Sabretooth going back to the base, giving his comments to Dr. Cornelius, who tells Sabretooth that he expects his report. So I really just want to see the shot of Sabretooth like taking a crayon and writing a report because or he has to type like with his fingers like this because his nails are too big to actually like type on a keyboard.
Yeah. He types like a boomer. Like
exactly. And then you see that Maverick is still alive, and Sabretooth decides to be like, yeah, we got to keep an eye on your daughter, and Maverick doesn't know he has a kid. So Sabretooth definitely fucked something up by saying that.
Either fucked it up or is like purposely trying to like fuck with him Right? Maybe they don't like each other either.
You know what it might be? It may just be that scenario where Sabretooth thinks he's being a smartass by doing it, and he's actually opening up that can of worms.
Oh, yeah, that's more likely, right?
Yeah. So.
Because he didn't mention like the daughter to Logan in the first place.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah. But that was a great reveal. I loved the way they gradually rolled out the flashback.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, footnote, I know it's a product of its time. I don't like the execution of the style of the flashback with the bright colors. And this is the
like literally the flashing flashback.
Actually, anybody that's been watching this, like part of the experiment of me having it here, you probably noticed my glasses, these random like white flashes, because whenever the episode is flashing back, it's just like, it's very disorienting. I know at the time, like that was like really exciting. And I honestly don't know. Was it because we were younger and it was exciting? Or was it just CRT TVs weren't as intense? Because this is like HDR, right? So whenever it gets like white, like seeing like full brightness or something.
No. I don't know the reason behind it, but I'm not a big fan of it either personally.
But story-wise, like it was really clever, I think, especially for an animated show, like how they like rolled out how everything turned out. I don't completely buy, like you said, Logan was a good person all along. He's a fucking assassin,
or at the very least, a soldier.
Yeah, and here they kind of painted it more less of a brainwashing and more of like he did this as his own person, and then they just like erased his memories, and he's still the same person, just not remembering this portion of his life.
We have some Logan characterization stuff that we're going to talk about in the next episode, though. Definitely. But yeah, I mean, final thoughts. I thought it was fine. Mm-hmm. I would say it unfortunately falls in like the bottom grouping of episodes for me, which is not like none of them are bad, mm-hmm. but this one is also like there's something about the characterization that like it doesn't hit sincerely for me. So it is what it is.
Maybe I liked it a little bit more than you. I mean, it's not my favorite, but I don't know if I would necessarily put it in the bottom. But I mean, I think maybe for me, it's because the characterizations are a little bit more vague for me because I don't have as much of a comic background and stuff.
Yeah. You don't have the biases of 40 years ruining shit for you.
It does bother me. It has this like stink of the Fox incontinuity. Where like it would just be better if it was something separate.
Right.
Instead of being kind of in continuity. This is along the lines of like there's two different Moira McTaggarts in this universe and we don't know why. Yeah.
I can't unpack why there are multiple Moira McTaggarts,
right.
Okay?
For no reason.
No. There are 10 of them. I don't want to talk about
that thing. I'm just talking about in Fox. Like,
I know.
They're not even doing it to reference anything. It's just that two different teams didn't reference each other. And then didn't need to be her for at least one of them. It could have been literally anybody. It could have been Christy. Like, that. But otherwise, like, yeah, I did like the storytelling and the flashbacks. And it was, I would have to admit, it was kind of like a, oh shit, like soap opera moment at the end. It's like, your daughter. He's like, my daughter. Maverick's like, there's a lot of like reveal stuff at the very end.
I did like the reveal of the daughter, like her initial reveal with the her showing up on the horse and having the horse sound effect. Also, that horse is dead, right?
Oh yeah,
Sabretooth killed that fucking horse.
Or it just ran off
camera. Off camera, killed that horse.
Or it ran off somewhere. Like the horses, no one ever pays attention to what the horses are doing. Like, are you current on Last of Us?
I am not.
Or I guess even if you're not current, you kind of know this because this has happened a couple episodes ago. Or anybody watching any of these shows like this, where are the horses at? We've lost track of them for days. like that. And in Last of Us specifically, they're not just random. They're like specific to the characters, like but no one pays attention to these things. And but I do love so maybe it's because I live in LA, like as I get to know more,
it's
like,
why you love horses so much.
Screenwriters and storytellers and stuff. Like, I don't know how, but someone has got to make like I don't know, like storytelling bingo or something, because when I'm with certain friends that do make movies and stuff, they're like, oh, let's wait for it. It's going to be a horse girl. Because that's like a trope, So it was just so funny. I actually laughed out loud, like not like text LOL, like laughed out loud when they're like, she's 6, she likes horses, and then this grown woman rides on a horse.
and it's the most canned sound effect of a horse neighing.
Yeah, it was like Fox like sound effect library number 6 or something.
Yeah, it was horse number 6 basically. Yeah. No.
Yeah, otherwise it was fun. I'm glad I'm used to like the flashback things now, because like I said in the first couple episodes I was like, what is this weird premonition stuff happening?
Well, we got to record another episode, so thank you guys for joining us. If you have any shots, God damn it, I almost made it through.
Shots.
No, we are not doing shots. I have to commute to the office in the morning. I can't be hungover for that. If you have any thoughts, please make sure to drop them into the comments for either the YouTube upload, the official Instagram post about this episode, or in Spotify. We've had some people popping into the Spotify comments lately, so thank you for that. And if you like what you heard, we'd appreciate a rating on the podcast app of your choosing. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Spotify, YouTube Podcasts, and CastBox. Never going to let that die.
Unlike the horse.
Which is definitely...